Hello, everyone, and welcome to another AI Insights live stream here at Domo. We are talking about unlocking your AI potential through a new tool called AI Readiness. And I can tell you, after the 8th, it's actually, we think it's the 7th. I think the 6 were like the friends we made along the way, right? We kind of dropped that one. But on your docket is the 8th AI Insight series with Jake, Florencia, Brian, and Brandon, all from our engineering team as well as our data science team. Very excited to always be joined by them. And today we're going to be unlocking some AI secrets, I believe, with this AI readiness tool. I'm excited to see what they have planned for you today, but I believe this is a solution, right, for addressing some of those inconsistencies and unreliable results. You know, we think that this is going to help harness your potential through AI and AI chat and using Domo at the core of that AI readiness tool for some customizable data dictionaries, which is exciting. Listen, Brian's going to give you all the details. I shouldn't be the one talking about it. But before we get started, Brian, Flo, Jake, and Brandon, I've got some sizzle. Are we ready for the sizzle?
Let's do it.
A shorter sizzle than last time. We are live again on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, whatever you like to call it these days. Join us on our comments and chat section as you are free to ask questions of our panelists throughout this session. We'll be happy to interrupt them at any given moment to discuss some of those questions that you might have about AI. Now, Brian, Flo, Brandon, and Jake, Brian specifically, is going to dive really deep into the beginning portion of this, talking about a readiness resource for you. And we've got tons of links to share. So whether you're joining live or you're joining after the fact, we want you to be able to access these resources. So we'll put those in the comments and chat section down below. So you can obviously get those really cool PDFs and checklists and our other recorded sessions for the AI Insights. And as always, these sessions are recorded and immediately available where you find them on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter X. So please make sure that you share these with your friends after the fact for those that might be interested in all of Domo IA goodness. Brian, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you being here with your team and all the folks that have been working hard on AI and excited to learn more. Flo, we got into a little bit of BYU Indiana talk. As most people know, I'm from the Hoosier State, the college football playoffs. It's something I never thought in my brain I would ever say being a fan of Indiana, but here we are. So we were fighting a little bit earlier. I think we can still be friends. I'm not quite sure, but we've got some really cool stuff to talk about today, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited both about BYU and Indiana's standing in the college football playoff, but also about this, of course.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Brandon and Jake are first timers on the session. Jake, Brandon, any intro words? You want to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you guys have been working on as well?
Yeah, Jake, how about you take it away first?
Absolutely. We're very excited to introduce this new feature, AI Readiness. Brian will dive into it. I've been working on it for a past little bit, and we're very excited to let everyone know what we've been working on.
Yeah, my name is Brandon, and I'm a fan of just good football. If I had to pick, BYU, but overall, just good football. If there's competition, that's good football, and I'm a fan. So
that's great.
But as far as AI readiness, yeah, me and Jake and others have been working on this AI readiness feature, and really excited for customers to start using it, really get the most out of the AI chat.
Yeah, it's really a team effort, and I think what I've learned working here at Domo and being a part of the folks that have been so involved with this is that everybody's doing the job, right? Like we've got so many people a part of all of our teams. Obviously, you guys get to be the face of it, and I get to host these really cool sessions, but there's so many people behind the scenes that are doing a lot of this work day in and day out that have created something really, really cool. Now, again, Brian's going to get into a lot of this, but this is perfect if you're a Domo admin, if you're a major Domo, or if you're just enthusiastic about Domo and you want to try out these AI chat tools, get the most out of your data. This is the session for you. So we hope you found the right place. Obviously, this matters a lot because you're going to be prepping and preparing your data as your team meets and really creates whatever that AI solution is in your organizations. Again, I shouldn't be talking about it. The guy down there should be talking about it. So I'm going to get out of the way, Brian, let you guys do your thing. Thank you again for joining us, and appreciate you giving up a little bit of time to help our community and users out there watching today.
Love it. Thanks, Eddie.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's get this presentation shared with y'all. All right, perfect. So yeah, like Eddie shared, we're going to be talking about AI readiness today and how it relates to AI chat. Really excited to see that sizzle reel. That was a lot of fun. We're hoping that the preparation that we're going to be able to share with you today that you can add to your data is going to help you make AI chat sizzle for you and help you to have a lot of success with your experience there. So we've just met the team. Really excited to have a couple of our engineers on with us today as they're kind of the ones that have been working hard on this product, on the features that we're going to share today. It's good to hear straight from the source. So really excited to share with you. So as we're diving in, wanted to share a really goofy cartoon with y'all. We've got this man pointing at this miraculous photo that he somehow has of his ancient ancestor, and it says, "There's a long history of analytics in my family." Kind of goofy, but want to really illustrate the point that as people, we've been communicating for an incredibly long time, and over time, communication has really evolved. We started out verbally communicating. That might have started with grunts and pointing and things like that, and evolved to written communication, visual communication, probably before that, written communication, and then finally numeric conversation and communication. And you know, as that's evolved, communication across those different wavelengths is very similar in that we have to be very clear and accurate in the things that, in the ways that we communicate. And so when you strip data science, data analysis, and AI down to the bolts, it really is just communication. We're trying to get across ideas, and AI chat is going to be an incredible tool that's going to enable you to very efficiently communicate ideas across your organization and from your data sets across your organization. In order for that to work, though, we do need to prepare our data in proper ways to make sure that what we're communicating is accurate. And so that's something that data scientists, data analysts, just major domos across the spectrum have thought about for a very long time. Everybody knows that if you put garbage in, you get garbage out when it comes to data. And our team, specifically mine and Flo, we consult a lot of clients on AI projects. And as such, we've put together a checklist of a lot of different steps that you should take in preparing your data so that it's ready for an AI model, whether that's something like an AI chat, a generative AI, or predictive AI. Flo had the opportunity to share that with everyone at Domopalooza last year. And we have this wonderful data cleanliness checklist that details a lot of those steps. So as we're releasing a lot of these really exciting features like AI chat and other AI features in Domo, we really want to make sure that there's a strong eye on data cleanliness so that the results of these features that your company uses will be accurate and will give you the most sizzle possible. And so on top of that, we want to make this cleanliness kind of an easy process for you as well. So we're building a lot of features to guide in AI readiness. And the first ones that we're going to talk to you about today and have demoed for you today center around context. Like I was saying with communication, it's really important to have context, whether you're speaking with a person or with a machine, around the things that you're speaking about. when that comes to data, there are a couple of really specific things that you need to take care of. You have to have consistent data labels. You have to have some descriptions and context around your columns that you have in a data set, and several other things. So we'll be talking about a few of those features within what we've called our AI dictionary, which is a part of AI readiness as a whole. And just to illustrate the importance of context, we were talking about football a little bit earlier. If you're talking about Cosmo, that can mean a lot of different things to somebody. If I just said Cosmo, someone might think I'm talking about Cosmo magazine, Cosmopolitan's the drink, Cosmo the space dog from Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmo the large energy company in Japan, or here in Utah County, you may be talking about Cosmo the cougar. If I just said Cosmo, it could mean any of these things or a number of other things. But if I were speaking to you and I said, wow, Cosmo the cougar, or Cosmo did an incredible dance at the football game last weekend, you would know I'm talking about Cosmo the cougar here in the middle. And so that context that I added in the conversation between me and a human is really important to point the communication that we're having in a specific direction. That goes the same for a machine. A machine needs context so that it can make the connections that we expect it to within our data set. And so this AI dictionary is really focused on making sure that we communicate clearly with AI chat and communicate clearly with the machine as we're asking it questions. And so as part of providing context and as part of this AI dictionary feature, there are a few features that fall underneath that umbrella. And these are the features we're going to demo for you today. You can see we've got an AI enabling of individual columns, data set context, column context, synonyms within columns, and beast modes and pill filters. So these are all ways that you're going to be able to provide context to your AI chat within Domo. Now, finally, before I hand things over to Jake for the first demos, I want to point out that this AI dictionary is really important for everybody across the organization. And we're really excited for everyone to get their hands on AI chat and for communication about data within your organizations to be a little more seamless and just very streamlined and make things easy for your company. So you can see that we've got different roles within the organization that are going to interact with this differently, but they are super important parts of the whole here for making your experience with AI chat and AI dictionary a successful one. So you can see a business user provides really important business context for data. Really, the reason that people like us, the data scientists, data analysts exist, is to help provide insights that are going to be really helpful to for business users to do their jobs and make decisions. And so understanding the context of the business context of data and what is important for the organization on the business side is very important. So that's the business side. And then for major domos, AI dictionary is really going to iron out a lot of experience issues that people may have with any type of generative AI. The context, like I said, is just incredibly important to make sure that you get a consistent answer or a consistent experience with AI chat. So major domos will do a lot to set that up, and they'll take a lot of really important input from business users as they provide that context. So with all of that, I'll turn it over to Jake so that we can dive into some of the demos and see this in action.
Great. Thank you, Brian. I'm going to walk you through the AI dictionary and show you the power of it. Before I do so, I want to share an analogy. Imagine you and I decide to go to the theater and see a movie. And, we get our tickets, we take our seats, and 15 minutes into the movie, you have to go to the bathroom. So you get up and you leave. And before you know it, 15 minutes have gone by before you're back in your seat. And when you finally take your seat, you look up at the screen and you realize there's a new character and you're missing some context. And so, in your confusion, you lean over to me and ask, Jake, who is that? Now, there's a couple of ways I could respond. I could say, that is the main character's father. And that would be an example of helpful context. And you could enjoy the rest of the movie. However, imagine you ask me, who is that? And I respond by saying, that is Robert De Niro. He's a famous American actor. He's well known for his collaborations with Martin Scorsese. He's in one hilarious movie I like called Meet the Parents. And I go on and on like that. And that would be an example of unhelpful and perhaps excessive context. Now, I share that example with you because I think it highlights the problem that we're trying to solve. And Brian mentioned this, and it's that the AI dictionary is the tool we can use to give the AI chat and the AI assistant proper context about the data set. So let's dive in. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so you're looking at my screen, and the first thing you'll notice is we are looking at the new AI Readiness tab. And this tab is accessible once a user selects a data set. And if you look at the top half of my screen, you'll notice 4 boxes. And these boxes are simply a summary of what is in your AI dictionary. If you look at the lower half of my screen, you will notice that this section is editable. And here a user can create and edit the AI dictionary. And you can begin by adding columns you're interested in and simply selecting add. Now, I've just added 5 columns to the AI dictionary, and you can see them here. And you might notice that, there's a context and synonym field, and, Brandon will cover the usefulness of context and synonyms later. But for right now, I want to just talk about what it means to add columns to the AI dictionary and what that implies. So by adding columns to the AI dictionary, we are specifying which columns we want the AI assistant to select when it queries this data set, and all other columns will be ignored. So you may be wondering, why would we want to select only specific columns instead of just giving the AI assistant, the AI chat, all of the columns? So let me share an example. I'm going to go ahead and remove these for now, and I'm going to navigate to a card. And so we're looking at a card here, and this card is powered by the data set we were just looking at. And that data set has an excessive amount of columns. It has over 200 columns. And of those 200 columns, many of them refer to revenue in one way or another. And so that's to say, if I ask the chat here a question about revenue, the AI chat is going to try to infer, and it's going to have to guess which column I'm referring to. So I'm going to go ahead and ask a question. What is my total recurring revenue for this year? So as this is thinking, let me just point out a couple of things. I've pre-calculated, my expected result, which is a little over 1 billion. So I've just asked this question in the AI chat, and since I do not have an AI dictionary, what's going on behind the scenes is I've just given all of the columns for this entire data set the excessive amount of context, and I'm kind of crossing my fingers hoping the chat can, guesses right which revenue column I'm referring to. So as we can see, we got 500, a little over 500 million, which is not the answer that I was looking for in this 1 billion. So let's go back to our dictionary, and let's create a dictionary and see if we can help guide the AI chat to give us, the proper answers that we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of columns. So I'm going to add this ACV recurring, and that's actually the column that is referring to revenue that I'm referring to, right? I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more columns that I'm interested in. Like, for example, we only want records that are one, and I'm going to also add name and region because I'm going to use those later. Okay, so all I've done now is I've added 5 columns to the AI dictionary, and let's now go back to that card we were just on, and let's ask the question one more time and see if we can get to the results we're expecting. So my question was, what is my total recurring revenue for this year? So let me explain again what's going on behind the scenes. So instead of giving 200 plus columns to the AI chat to try to make sense of, I'm now only giving it 5 columns. And now I've taken the guesswork out of the AI chat. So I expect this will now get the correct answer. And will you look at that? We did 1 billion. Okay, so there is one more thing that I want to show you. What if I were to tell you that, in this example, we are a healthcare technology company and we sell heart implant devices. And in fact, this data set is tracking the sales of those heart implant devices. So with that assumption, let's ask a question of the chat, and let's ask how many heart implant devices did we sell by region this year? So I'm going to let you in on something. There is nothing in this data set that would indicate that this data set is tracking heart implant device sales. And so if you look at our answer, that's what it's telling us. Hey, sorry, couldn't find anything for heart implant device sales. So let's see if we can add something to the AI dictionary to give it a little bit of context to help it out. So you'll notice there is this field here called dataset context. And like its name, you can add context about this data set. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and say, hey, this data set is used within the healthcare technology industry, and it's analyzing heart implant device sales. So I'm just going to save that little bit of context, and let's try asking our question again one more time. So my question was, how many heart implant device sales did we, heart implant device did we sell by region this year? So now that I've added just a little bit of context, I now expect that the AI chat will be able to recognize that each row in this data set is tracking a sale for the so great. As we can see, just by adding a little bit of context, we went from not having any answer at all in the AI chat to now we have some very useful information. So I hope this was a helpful introductory demonstration of the power and flexibility of the AI dictionary. I briefly mentioned before that you can add context and synonyms to each column. I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Brandon to showcase those features.
Thank you, Jake. That was great. All right, so what I'm going to be talking about is how adding column context and column synonyms can help improve the AI chat experience. So first, I'm going to pull up my window. All right. So imagine that I am a part of my HR department and I have survey data. And I'm trying to ask questions of the AI chat about my survey data. So one of the questions I might ask is, how does the distribution of employee satisfaction scores vary across roles? And I wanted to order it from highest to lowest. And what I want you to take note of on the left here is I put together a card for demonstration purposes to show that this is what I'm expecting. This is the answer I'm looking for. So, as we noted, this looks like a really good answer, but upon further review, we'll look that the trend is opposite of mine. So, to give you some context about the data set itself, the survey satisfaction score was on a scale of 1 to 5. And in most cases, 5 would be the highest satisfaction score you can give. But in my particular company and with our particular survey, the reverse is true. So the score of 1 is actually a really high satisfaction score. But the AI seem to get that confused. They tend to operate under the typical assumption, which makes sense. But I need to make it make sense for my company. So one thing I can do is I can go to the AI Readiness tab, and we can go ahead and add some context to help the AI make a better answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this column. and I'm going to tell the AI a little bit more about my score column. So right here, I'm telling it, hey, the low values mean high satisfaction and high means low. And that is specific to only my satisfaction score column. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to ask the same question and see how the AI can improve. So what it's doing now is, now that we're passing the column context, it gives the AI the ability to discern which column it should use and how to order the data when it's generating the query. Excellent. So it looks like it is now trending the same way that I have it trending, and this is all using context. And one really useful thing is it even informed me and said, hey, by the way, your score column has this note, which is very helpful for someone who may not be as familiar with the data. But as I keep looking into the data, I notice that this value doesn't match what I expect. And to provide you some more context, the senior accountant here, I know, is a job title, but over here, this is a job role. And at my company, we have the concept of roles and titles. So you can have multiple titles within a single role. So for example, there could be 3 technicians, technician 1, 2, and 3, all within a laborer role, for example. So what I need to do is I need to go over and I need to add a synonym. So I'm going to go ahead and select the column, and then I'm going to add a synonym. And a synonym is just another name or another way to reference a column. To explain this in a little bit more detail, all of our data isn't always perfect. We have columns that don't have right names, or they're way too long, or they don't make sense, or heaven forbid, they don't even match the data that's in their column. So what this allows you to do is you can add synonyms to give to the chat to say, hey, this column that I have, if anyone asks questions about role, and you can give multiple here. For this demo, I'm just going to use one, but you could give more than one if it's known in many ways. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to ask that question again. So now what it's going to do is it's going to use the combination of the column context and the synonym to get the right answer and to give the data that I know is correct, so we can have that kind of security when our business users are asking all sorts of questions. All right. So it looks like giving the context and the synonyms it needed produced the exact same chart that I was hoping for. So going forward, I can have some level of confidence that when my business users are asking all sorts of questions to get answers and move the business forward, they can get the right answers. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Flo. Thank you so much.
Flo, you are muted. Sorry.
Fine.
It's okay.
Here I was like laughing by myself, and I don't know, no one thinks I'm funny. It's fine. So back to the other one.
Well, it's okay. It's been a while, Flo, since you've been on these, and you've handed the reins. You handed the reins over to Brian on the introduction, so you know I think you may just be off a little bit. That's okay.
Maybe we need to have these like every week or something, so I can know how to use it again.
I love having you guys. So let's do it.
All right. Well, I'm not going to make the jokes that I made before because I don't want to laugh about them again. But there's a few more things that we want to show you with AI readiness. So to give you a little bit of context for this data set is a historical snapshot of every Chase Bank branch in the US. And don't worry, it's publicly available data. You can download it from Kaggle if you want. you'll see that we have a lot of observations or rows with the exact same branch name. That's because the unit of observation for this data set is the branch, the year, and the account type. So for checking accounts at the Vernon Hills Scarsdale branch, we've got 7 rows, and that's because we have 7 years worth of data. And in this data set, we have information about the branch at the branch level. So we have the total number of accounts, we have the total balance in a given year. We've got some key dates about when the branch was established and when it was acquired by Chase Bank. And we've got some physical location information, and some of it we're not actually going to use. Latitude, longitude isn't super relevant to us. But imagine that, a analyst for Chase wants to use this data set to just understand some general trends. They're just trying to get familiar with the data. And so they ask a pretty simple question: what was the average checking account balance last year by branch? So this question is going to require the chat to do some filtering, right? We want to filter it to the last year. We want to do an aggregation by branch. And the calculation that we want done is this average checking account balance. And there's no actual column called average checking account balance, but we have the total balance for a branch in a given year for an account type, and we have the total number of accounts. So it's a pretty simple calculation, right? You would just do balance divided by number of accounts, and that would give you the average. When we look at the response from the chat, we see that the highest account balances that we're seeing are well into the billions. And I know New York is known for being pretty wealthy, but I feel like an average of almost 5 billion is pretty unreasonable. And when I look at the SQL query for this request, I see that it just took the average of the balance column. It didn't actually do the calculation that I was expecting it to do for my question. Well, this is a really easy beast mode. I'm sure a lot of you have used beast modes. I use beast modes a lot as a data scientist. We use them for, testing out different calculations, for fine-tuning our mappings. We use them for all sorts of things. And it is common for these beast modes to actually be key metrics for your business. And up until now, the chat hasn't had access to the beast modes associated with your data set. But with AI Readiness, you can now add beast modes, whether they are linked to your entire data set or if they're just saved to a card that is powered by your data set. You can just really quickly add it as you would with any other column. So here I have a beast mode type column called average account balance. I'm going to add it to my AI dictionary, and I'm actually going to just add a little bit of context, account balance. And in case you don't trust my calculations, we can go to Analyzer and I can show you my calculated field. And it's literally just the balance divided by the total number of accounts. But this is a simple calculation that is required in order for me to get the answer to the question I had about average account balance. So we're going to open up the chat. Oh, refresh, apparently. Or go the other way. Start with the chat. And we're going to ask the exact same question. What was the average checking account balance last year by branch? And this time I expect to get more reasonable values because the AI dictionary now includes a column to which I was able to add context and let it know that this is the calculation for average account balance in my data set. So what you see here is that now the average account balance is roughly 7,000, which seems a lot more reasonable. Now that beast mode was pretty simple, right? It was literally referencing 2 columns and a simple calculation. You could use this for much more complicated beast modes or mappings. So if I ask this question right now, what were the total CD deposits by US region in 2022? There's no region column in my data set, but we do have, if I keep scrolling, we have state. And LLMs have the ability to map states to regions. It can do that. But in our company, imagine I work for Chase, we have very specific regions that we use for calculating some high-level aggregate performance metrics. And so when I look at this Northeast, Southwest, and Midwest categorization that the chat did for me, that's useful, but that's not what I want to see when I ask about region. So if I look at the SQL query, I can see that the chat very smartly mapped a lot of these states to the appropriate region. It's just not the region that I want. So I'm going to go back to my AI readiness, and I'm going to add a column to my dictionary called region, which is, again, another beast mode that I was able to create. I'll see that it's now added down here. And again, in case you don't trust me in my mapping, we'll look at what the region mapping looks like in the beast mode. And you can see that I actually created a couple more categories than what the chat had provided. So I have the Northeast, the Midwest, South Central, the Southeast, the Mountain West, the Pacific, and other. So we're going to exit out of this, and we're going to ask the same question again. And I'm going to have to do this again. If the chat shows up. Maybe not. There we go. Now it's not highlighted. Okay. We'll ask the same question again, and this time we have the region column added in the AI dictionary. So I should see the region categories that I defined in my beast mode. And what you see here is that we have the Northeast, South Central, the Midwest, Pacific, Mountain West, and the Southeast. One more thing that I want to show with this is the ability to manually adjust the filters or the parameters directly in chat. And what we mean by this is that the AI dictionary can do a lot for you. You can add so much information, you can add so much context, and it really enables you to facilitate consistent and reliable results for different users. If you build out an AI dictionary for a data set, anyone who uses the AI chat in conjunction with that data set will have the AI readiness filled out in the same way. And so you can ensure that people have consistent insights. But it's also possible that people just kind of ask a slightly obscure question. Not obscure in a bad way, obscure in the way that it's just not something that has been outlined in AI readiness or in the dictionary, right? So for example, which branches had the highest number of liquid accounts at the end of 2020? It's not an obscure question, right? There's nothing difficult about it necessarily, but the chat is going to have to interpret this liquid accounts somehow, because we can't possibly add all possible categorizations in our AI dictionary, right? So there's always going to be a need for a human in the loop with any sort of AI pursuit. And this is one way in which we are facilitating that. So when I look at the output for my question, I see that Madison and 48th Street branch had about 67 million accounts. If I select this show chart controls option in any visualization, I can make adjustments to any of the parameters that were used to create this card. So maybe for account type, you know, when I asked about liquid assets, the chat assumed that I meant checking and savings. And I'm not in the banking industry, so Brian, you can tell me if this is completely off, but I would think that maybe the money market accounts are considered liquid to some extent. So I can really easily make the adjustment to the selections, and I can see the visualization update in real time. Or maybe I'm really interested in seeing what happened between 2020 and 2021. And I want to see if the 68 million goes up or down. And sure enough, it went up. Or maybe I want to look at 2022 because I'm finding some really interesting things in the visualization I'm looking at. I can once again just make any adjustment to any of these. I can add new filters. I can swap out the column that I'm looking at. I can change the aggregation. Instead of doing a sum, maybe I want to do an average for some reason. All of this is now accessible directly in the AI chat. And as someone who does a lot of data exploration for data science purposes, this is so useful because you see something that seems really interesting and you want to really quickly be able to compare it to something else. And the filters in AI chat allow you to switch back and forth really, really easily without having to dive into the SQL code. So I hope you all use the AI dictionary. I was really excited to see what the engineers had put together. I'm going to hand it back to Brian now to kind of tie it all together for us.
Thanks, Flo. All right. So that was great. Really good to hear, again, directly from the engineers and data scientists that are working on this. And we're really excited about these features. They really are going to enhance your experience with AI chat. We're really excited for you all to start working with AI chat if you haven't already. And so now that we've seen a lot of those demos, we do have a couple of considerations that we want to put forth for using this AI dictionary. We've talked about how it provides a lot of really good context. And Jake gave us a pretty good analogy at the beginning there with how we don't want to overwhelm somebody with context. If we're speaking to a human, I do this a lot, honestly. I tend to ramble. I tend to get really excited about a specific topic, maybe football. And I may over-contextualize a topic that we're speaking about. If you do that with AI chat and with AI dictionary, you're going to overwhelm the machine and will potentially focus on the wrong portion of the context that you're giving it. So be wise about which columns you share with the chat using an AI enabled, and then also provide relevant context, but not everything. Flo just shared a couple of really great ways that we can incorporate beast modes into your AI dictionary so that you can use them with AI chat. And she also pointed out ways that you can map states. That was a really good example. While it's great, and we definitely want you to be able to use your beast modes in AI dictionary, we would encourage creating those beast modes in their regular area, or even incorporating them within your data sets using Magic ETL or some other transformation, rather than trying to map things within column contexts or within the AI dictionary itself. It just won't work as well if you try to map those states inside column context. You want to do that in a regular beast mode. And finally, these last two kind of fit together as well. And this goes not just for AI dictionary, but also for AI chat. It's a very iterative process. If you've worked with any generative AI, you've probably found that prompt engineering is incredibly essential. And it is kind of an iterative process, both on the individual queries that you create and also in just upskilling yourself with learning how to communicate with AI. As you continue to iterate, you'll get better responses and you'll get better at doing that prompt engineering. So we really encourage you to get your hands on AI chat and start upskilling yourself and upskilling your teams as far as this prompt engineering goes, and just in using the AI chat. So with that, want to wrap up by pointing you to some next steps. Now that we've got all this info about AI dictionary, AI chat, where do we go next? So I've got a couple of QR codes on this page. We'll leave this up during Q&A if we have any here. And you're welcome to scan them. We'll also put them in the chat here. But there are a couple of good next steps that you'll want to take. Number one, if you're curious whether you can have whether AI chat is available to you now in your instance or not, that's something that you can reach out to your CSM for. In addition, we have a couple of different ways that you can interact with our Domo AI Labs team in getting your feet under you and getting a foundation for working with AI chat and Domo. There's a complimentary consultation where you can work with data scientists like myself and Flo to ask some targeted questions about AI or to get a general overview of AI chat and readiness. That's a 1 hour, one-time consultation. And to do that, you'll fill out the form at this link, provide as much detail about the questions that you have as possible, and then your availability, and we'll get back to you on scheduling a time to go over that. You can also set up a contract for an AI enablement engagement. So this is more hands-on and more custom to you and your instance than that complimentary consultation would be. You'll get that hands-on guidance from our team to organize and prepare your data for AI chat so that you can get the best experience possible there. So please reach out to your CSM if you'd like to set that foundation with our team. Finally, on the bottom, we already spoke about that data cleanliness checklist and talked about how this is our focus on the contextual section of that document, but there's a lot more to it and a lot more to preparing your data both for AI and just in general. So that document lays out a lot of different things that you may already associate with data cleanliness, talking about outliers, how to handle those, talking about nulls and missing data, joins, and then some consistency and accuracy within and between columns. So that's a great document. Again, we talked about that at Domopalooza and loved that document. And today we're debuting a new document that we're really excited about with AI chat and with some of these new features that we're releasing with AI Readiness. The AI chat prep checklist. Wow, I butchered that. AI chat prep checklist is going to be a fantastic resource for you as you work to set up AI chat for your organization. So this takes a lot of data cleanliness considerations into effect here, but also talks about how you can organize your organization and prepare teams at your organization to interact with AI chat. So that goes around 1, data prep, 2, security and governance, and then 3, team onboarding, how you can get some buy-in and help people get a good experience out of this on your team. Again, we're really excited about AI chat, and there are more things to come as far as helping you feel enabled with readiness for AI chat. So thanks for your time today, and we'll pass it back over to Eddie for some Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. A little not as quick today on the transition, so I apologize. We have lots of resources to share, but unfortunately, StreamYard doesn't like when we share long links. So we try to get those in kind of after the fact. So if you're watching us live, refresh your LinkedIn, refresh your Facebook, refresh YouTube, and those comments will be thrown in a little bit after the fact, but we're happy to provide those direct links if you weren't able to scan that QR code from Brian. Let me bring back Flo. Let me bring back Brandon. Let me bring back Jake so that the gang's all here. Also backstage, Sean McGowan, giveaway.
I was ready for you this time. I was ready.
Social media.
Thought you were going to get me.
Extraordinaire. Oh, Sean, thank you so much for handling a lot of the things on the back end. Didn't have a lot of comments. There were some questions about, is AI chat already out? How do I access it? Things like that. We've provided a lot of links for you to be able to find those things. Obviously, AI chat is available. We want folks to be able to find that resource, and we've created those links through some of the comments and chat sections. So if anybody else doesn't have any comments, we'll end this AI Insight series. As always, Flo, Brian, Brandon, Jake, your teams are creating some really memorable experiences for our customers. And we can't thank you enough for being here just to overview some of those today.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Eddie.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Be on the lookout on the community calendar, as well as all of our socials. Sean, plug for you, to make sure that you are being interested in this content so that you're sharing the content. And again, you can watch this recording as soon as it's finished, which will be in 2 seconds. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you joining.
Thanks.
Thank you.